we're coming on this month. Actually, last couple days ago was 14 years. And we've been through a lot over those last 14 years. But at the same time, when you sit there and you celebrate it and focus on each other, focus on your family, on your friends, and that is what helps to make it easier to bear. And not only easier, but makes it enjoyable. And sometimes it's really stretching it to try and find something positive through chemo and try and find something positive. Well, it took them 5 times to poke him to get the IV started this time. And I think sometimes the way that he copes with it is he's like, well, I would much rather them poke me instead of my wife. So, and I know that he tries really hard to be strong, because that's probably been the hardest thing for me through this last treatment, is that it was incredibly painful for him. And they would keep his IV in, because he'd have a Thursday, Friday treatment and be in there for, all day, both days. And so when he got the treatment and they finally would get the IV started, the first 2 went fine. After that, they would poke him and couldn't get any blood out for labs and things like that. And that's when it started getting harder on me. And so I would never want him to be there going through that without me there. Even though it was hard for me to see him going through that pain, I would much rather that I was there holding his hand through it, as opposed to knowing that he was doing it by himself, because that's something that would have been much harder on me, to have him doing that alone. So I would see some of these other people that would come to chemo and they'd be out there by themselves, and that just would break my heart. I just think, oh, I'm so sorry. And so sometimes Rick and I, he'd take his little IV thing and wheel it over, and we'd talk to some other people that were going through it. And one gal, it was her very first time, and she had just, this was all overwhelming, and she was there with her mom, and her mom was the one having the treatment. And we went out in the waiting room, because we were all finished, and we saw her out there, and we had been talking to her earlier, and she goes, oh yeah, you guys are that couple, right? And we said, yeah. And we just started talking to her, and I think when you do that, I think it helps lift others' burdens, and in turn, yours seem more bearable.